I would imagine that people still come up to you and say, I never thought I'd see the train station be brought back to life like this.
Yeah, it's amazing how this project has really inspired not only Detroit, but the world. I can't tell you how many letters we get, how many people say, I just want to get involved, how can I get involved? It's so wonderful. I mean, Bill Ford's vision for what this is has really, I think, instigated a lot of people to think about how we can solve problems in Detroit that haven't been solved.
And what problems would those be? Kind of give us an example of some of the things you've been talking about with the people that live around in the area.
Access to transportation is a huge issue for Detroit. And I think people forget that they really think about the congested cities, but we have to think about the problem here in Detroit as well. I mean, one of the number one ways to get out of poverty is to give people access to transportation, to jobs, to education. And so that is absolutely something we're very, very focused on in this innovation district.
Let's talk a little bit about this process of, while Ford is coming in and doing this, taking a look at the neighborhoods in the surrounding area, Corktown, North Corktown, Hubbard, Richard. What have the conversations been like from Ford's perspective and talking to people about what they want to see and what maybe could happen in their neighborhoods once, Ford is in and up and running?
They've been really terrific because we've learned a lot. So for example, early days, Southwest wanted no parking deck that was going to mar their view of the station. I mean, think about it. For them, that's the front of the station. So that was one thing we pivoted away from right away so that they would not have an obstructed view. Other folks have really talked about important issues like housing and job training and other issues. And so we're definitely listening to them and we're trying to support those kinds of programs.
Yeah, because it's difficult when people are living in certain neighborhoods. They think, am I going to be priced out of my neighborhood?
Absolutely.
Because everyone will want to live in Corktown now because of the revitalization that Ford is bringing in at the train station. Those are real issues. What kind of conversations or what kind of, communication have you had with the city as well in kind of working hand in hand with the project?
We're very much a part of the low-income housing fund that they're putting together. They've actually identified properties in the Corktown neighborhood where they want to stabilize the rents because that's a really important aspect to ensure that people stay in the neighborhood that they've been in for a very long time. So these are conversations that we actually have every day. So it's not just a construction project, it's really an opportunity to think about these policy issues that frankly every city wrestles with and figure out how to solve them in a different way.
What about education, job training, that sort of things? Are there any kind of specific programs or special programs that are being put aside or funding being put aside for that?
We actually have a philanthropic arm, the Ford Fund. So we've been doing these kinds of programs for years in Detroit. And so now what we want to do is leverage those programs to help the Corktown area, but also there's programs that we're working on with the city. So obviously we've started job training programs. We're going to need to be hiring people with specialized skills. Frankly, they don't exist anymore. When you think about the masons, no one does masonry work anymore. And so we're training actually high school students now to be able to do the masonry work in the station. And that's a really exciting program.
Talk to me about what Ford, how they feel about some of the community benefits, things that are happening right now, and how this is maybe a larger example for what other companies could be looking at.
So I actually think our process was really fantastic. I actually went to every single meeting. I went to every single community benefits ordinance meeting. I think we had 11 of them. And we heard from the community and we really built the program together. And what came out of that was not only our commitment from a funding perspective and a programmatic perspective, but for example, we ended up opening an information center at the corner of Rosa Parks in Michigan, where everyone from the community can come and see the development and provide us with ideas, provide input, and really come along on the journey with us, because I think the most important thing is to communicate and to ensure that we're all kind of respecting each other's point of view.
We had a community meeting in Corktown, and it was transparency. And it was the whole thing of just being able to understand and see what's happening step by step and not feel that they were blindsided by any decisions that were being made. And so far, people feel really receptive. They feel that they have been part of the process.
Yeah, it's interesting. think about it. You feel that way about anything that happens to you as well, right? We just want to be communicated with and to understand the process. And so, for example, we brought them in probably a couple of months ago to show them some areas on the exterior of the train station where we'd love to provide a public amenity. And they had an input in what they'd want to see there. Would they want to see a park? Would they want to see a place where you could just come and hang out? But they were designing that with us. And I think that's really important because at the end of the day, these are going to be spaces for them. And we want to make sure they really love them.
Do you think that other companies are looking at this and saying, look at what Ford is doing, we could do something like that in Detroit? Do you believe that Ford's investment has maybe opened the eyes of other heads of corporations around the world saying, maybe Detroit might be the place?
Well, I think Bill Ford's vision is really interesting because his whole idea is to bring others in. And, we talked to the city and they've said to us that you've inspired other people to come here, which we love. But my hope is that we're going to bring people to this project and have them be part of our ecosystem and then inspire others to come as well. But I do think it's happening. I mean, obviously Detroit is only the best place to be.